So I just want to say how happy I am to be back again. I really look forward to these sessions. It's just a great opportunity to connect with everybody and know that there's other people out there interested in exploring this mindfulness, the meditation, this way of exploring, understanding what is this mind body, this human being here, and how am I relating to things, and how can we do it with a little more ease? So hopefully these sessions that Nancy and I do give you some new ways for exploring how to understand your mind, your habits, your thoughts, and help you find a little bit more ease. So we'll see what we explore today. We can start, as we often do, with a little bit of what we call a grounding meditation. So you can take your meditation posture, whatever that is, sitting, standing, lying down, just some way that you feel supported, where you don't feel like you have to exert any energy to hold the body up. And even if you're sitting in a chair, the body knows how to hold itself up. So just feel the groundedness into whatever your support is. Invite the spine to be upright, any amount that allows, that invitation of uprightness allows the mind to be alert. And the uprightness isn't rigid, it's relaxed. So grounding, uprightness, relaxation, closing the eyes if you're comfortable, or just having a soft gaze. And we'll let the bell invite us to come into the first meditation. So with the fading of the bell, we can just notice what the mind's doing, just checking in, what's happening right now. And is the mind leaning into the next moment, wondering what's going to happen? Or is it still trying to land here after the arrival process of getting logged on and all that comes with that? Or maybe it's going to sleep in the quiet, whatever. Just noticing the energy of the mind. Is it resting? Is it leaning into whatever might be next? Or is it living in the past? Just whatever it is, just noticing. And then noticing how it feels in the body, whatever the mind is. Just the general energy of the body. Again, is there relaxation? Is there tension? Is there numbness, collapsing, whatever? Restlessness. So this is our basic training, just like noticing how it is right now, right here. So in contrast to our usual habits of being distracted with one thing or another, thinking, planning, doing, remembering, fantasizing, sleeping, can we just be present with this right here, right now? This mind is aware. There's awareness of this body, mind being right here, right now. And how do you know that you're here? How can you know? How can you be present with this presence of this being right here? So how do you know you're here? How do you know you're present? Do you feel it as just the awareness, maybe thinking of yourself occupying some space right behind the eyes and in the brain somewhere? Is that how you feel aware? Or do you feel awareness through sensations in the body, breath, or maybe you're aware of sounds around you? So what does this presence, this being present, how is it perceived by our awareness? And maybe it's changing all the time. Maybe there's a sound and there's a sensation in the body, a thought, a breath. Or maybe the mind's already lost in thinking, planning, living in the past. That's what the mind does. But we can invite it to just come back to this sense of presence. Right here, right now. How do we know we're here? And maybe the mind wants something more specific to pay attention to. Maybe that's too loose of a invitation to knowing what's happening right here, right now, in this mind and body. So we can invite awareness of the body. So maybe we feel the sensation of the body resting on the support, maybe the feet on the floor, the hands resting in the lap, the pressure of the body against the support. Can we tune into that and be aware of these sensations in the body? Maybe there's a pain, maybe there's an itch, maybe there's a feeling of emptiness, tension, pressure. So this embodied presence, where we sense sensations in the body as a way of being aware of what's happening right here, right now, rather than being lost in planning for the future or living in the past or sleeping or whatever. So again, we're inviting the mind to really know what's going on, and the body is always in the present. There's a sensation, there's something for the mind to tune into, to be aware of how we are. So, what are the sensations in the body you feel? Feet, hands, pressure, or maybe it's the breath. Maybe you feel the breath coming in, going out. And you stay present with that sensation, this ongoing but ever-changing process of the body breathing. And can the mind be interested in that? Be curious about that. What is this process of breathing? Breathing in, it's like this. Breathing out, it's like this. And noticing if there's some kind of tension or if there's relaxation. Maybe paying attention to the breath actually brings a contraction, too much awareness. We can notice that too, and just relax as much as we can, just watching, breathing in, breathing out. This body does it naturally, moment to moment, ever changing. Breathing in, pause, breathing out, pause. So this sense of presence, the observing mind, this awareness, knowing the body breathing, knowing the sensation or the feeling of the body breathing, the energy, breathing in, breathing out. We stay with it, we're in the present moment. Maybe the mind has wandered off into thinking or planning or living in the past, whatever. We just notice. Bring it back to this body, this breath, whatever the mind can stay interested in. Maybe sounds are coming in, occasional thoughts. And can this observing mind just be present with all of these experiences? Not holding on to them, not pushing them away. If something's uncomfortable, not shutting down to it, just noticing what's happening right here, right now. So how do you know you're present? How is this awareness? How is it knowing that we are present right here? The body, sounds, the breath. Maybe thoughts coming and going. The mind just watching them all. Noticing what the mind's interested in. You can check in again, see what the mind's paying attention to. What's the mood or the energy of the mind? And how's the body now? Is it relaxed? Is there tension, agitation, low energy? Again, not judging any of this, but just noticing how it is. The mind's like this. The body's like this. This is how it is right now. Right here. In this moment. Moment to moment. Presence. The sound of the bell can invite us to let go of that observation, maybe just reflect a little bit of what we noticed during that, and then coming back to being aware of being present here together. Yeah, so that simple process of paying attention to what's actually happening right here, right now. Sometimes it may seem like it's boring or useless. Why do I even care what the body feels like, or that I'm present? But there's something that's brought you here to these sessions, right? There's some reason you show up to do this, and people come to meditation or mindfulness for a variety of reasons. Sometimes you want it more calm. Sometimes you want to try and learn something about yourself, and it's through this observation is how we can do both of those things. These trainings that we learn on how to meditate, we can train the mind rather than the usual distractedness of chasing after thoughts, getting lost in a plan or a dream about the future, or beating ourselves up about the past or something, or being angry about somebody or something, getting lost in those stories. We can be present with what's actually happening right here, right now. And just being in the present moment, research has shown that presence, that full presence, is actually makes us feel a little more content, a little calmer, than if we're lost in all these other activities that our mind usually engages in. The distractedness is. So Nancy has used that term, we're training in non-distractedness. And so I thought at the suggestion of one of the participants in these classes, somebody suggested, like, what are we really looking at with these meditation objects? What is this thing with the meditation object? What are we trying to do? So I thought it might be helpful to really come back to the basics. What are we doing here? There's various types of meditation, but the techniques that Nancy and I present are basically, we're training the mind to let go of its normal distractedness, getting lost in thoughts or fantasies or whatever, and training the mind to actually observe what's going on in the mind and the body without being pushed around by it. Because usually, if there's an uncomfortable sensation, we want to do something about it. We want to move the body, or we want to take a pill to make it go away, whatever, or we think if I just do something else, it'll all be fine. So we keep moving towards something else. So part of what we're training is just to observe what's going on, notice if there's something that's pushing us around, and then just noticing if anything really needs to happen, or if it's just kind of a restlessness, a discontent of the mind. And if you don't hold on to it, it can just move on. So we're training the mind to observe what's going on and how we respond to it. And so that's really kind of the purpose, because we get to know ourselves better. And by this observation, we can start to see what leads to stressfulness and what leads to calm. And the mind naturally then will move towards calm. So how do we train the mind? Well, the strategies, first, we need to train the mind or retrain the mind in how to pay attention. A lot of us, we think we're paying attention, but, studies show that, basically most of us are not paying attention probably 90% of the day. We really don't have a clue what's going on. And so we have to retrain the mind to actually pay attention to what's happening right here, right now. And then by paying attention, that allows us to observe what the mind's doing, what it's paying attention to, and what the effect is. And so this training that we're doing, that's one of the reasons that we choose a meditation object. So rather than having the mind jumping around all over the place, we say to ourselves, no, we're going to pay attention to this. So we give it specific meditation objects, and we teach a variety of those through these various sessions that we do. But the idea with the meditation object is we're using it as a training. So it's kind of like training a puppy. We're trying to train the puppy to sit, and the puppy might sit for 2 seconds and then want to get up and run around again, and we train it to sit again. So we're doing the same thing with our mind. The mind wants to run around and be distracted or do anything else other than paying attention to one thing. But that paying attention actually has been shown to the mind, when it's in that distractedness, it's usually self-centeredness, worried about how I'm doing and what I'm doing and all this. That's where a lot of our anxiety comes from. But when we learn to pay attention, when we really do train to do that, the mind actually is able to focus more, and it gets more into what's closer to what they call a flow state, and it's the task positive network is what it's called in the brain, where the mind actually feels more contented and more at ease. But we do have to retrain the mind to do this. So that's where the meditation object is. So it's like training to do scales and learning to do music. If you're going to play an instrument, you learn to do scales and all that stuff before you actually learn to play songs. So that's what we're doing with the objects. And of course, what the mind really loves to do is just get lost in thought, right? That's kind of where most of our distraction is, or get lost in a story or something. So we choose something sort of neutral, and a lot of times, just like in that grounding meditation, we'll choose an object that is in the body, because by dropping into the body, it gets us out of the constant state of thinking, but it also allows us to observe the physical effect of whatever the mind's paying attention to. So a lot of the meditation objects that we introduce are related to the body, like I did in that first meditation, that the sensation in the body, grounding the feet, the hands, or the sensation of the breath, or just changing sensations can be used, or sounds can be used. So these are all perceptions that can allow the mind to be interested in observing, but without getting caught into thought. But of course, the mind does go off into thinking, which is probably what happened to you in that first meditation. And we just notice when that happens. And again, it's not a bad thing. It's a habit of the mind. And we can notice when the mind does go off thinking, and we can just invite it back. We can notice where it went, so we can start to see what its habits are, and then come back to the meditation object. So it's like something called a sea anchor. That's like when a boat is being tossed around by waves, they put down what's called a sea anchor that allows it to be grounded and more stable. And that's sort of what we're doing with the meditation object, something to keep coming back to, for the mind to rest on. So bring the attention back, and eventually we can train the mind to not be running around so much. I had one teacher, I said, my mind's going crazy. It's just all over the place. He says, your mind is like a horse. It needs to run, give it a big pasture and let it run, and it'll wear itself out, and then eventually, that's why sitting for a while can be helpful, because eventually the mind does learn to wears itself out and then comes back. And same with training a puppy, wear it out, then come back, and then eventually it'll sit and rest. you know, and in that resting is where we, but all those things, even not in the resting, but we can observe what the mind's doing. And all of this, we're learning something. So whether you're having a good meditation where it's staying with the object, or whether it's running around, you're still learning something, right? As you're observing, you're seeing what the habits are and noticing what leads to stress and what leads away from it. So what I'd like to do is during this next meditation, just introduce a number of different meditation objects, because everybody has a different mind, right? And that's why we do use different meditation objects, because different minds respond to different objects. So this is your toolkit. So I'll just introduce a number of different meditation objects and just invite, you can invite the mind. I will invite the mind, but you can invite your own mind to just observe it. Just be the observer with patience, with persistence, curiosity, compassion, all those traits that we talk about, but just encouraging the mind to just keep observing what's happening right here, right now, and what's the effect. So we'll use the meditation object to ground the attention, might stay there for a while, and then we notice when the mind goes off, and then notice what the effect is, and then re-invite it to come back to the meditation object. So this is no different than any of the other sessions, but just re-inviting again what the reason is that we're doing all this and why we choose these different meditation objects. So take your meditation seat again, and we can just do a little bit of experimenting and see how your mind is today, what it's willing to rest on, and or what makes it restless. So, and taking your posture grounded in the support, upright, relaxed, eyes closed, or just a soft gaze, coming inwards at the invitation of the bell. So again, the bell is the invitation to come inwards, and we can just check in again to see, how is it now? How is the mind? Maybe all that talking has got it restless. Or maybe it's feeling impatient, let's just get on with the meditation. Or maybe it's gone to sleep, whatever. How's the mind? How's the body? Is it different or the same as it was before? We're not judging, we're just noticing. We'll let that go, and we can set an intention in this meditation to explore a few different meditation objects, things that we choose to rest our attention on, to pay attention to stay with, and then just also setting intention to just be observing with patience what the mind actually does, what's the effect on the mind. So we can start with the first meditation, as we often do, with mindfulness of breathing. So maybe it's the sensation of the breath, breathing in. Maybe it's a physical sensation, or maybe it's just feeling the energy, breathing in, breathing out. So setting the intention for the mind to pay attention to this ever-changing process of breathing. So the mind's resting, the awareness, breathing in is like this, breathing out is like this. So setting the intention to stay with that, observing the moment-to-moment change, patience, curiosity. What is it like, this body breathing? How is it? Sensation, feeling the energy, receiving, letting go. Just staying with it and noticing what's happening. Noticing if we're still with the breathing or if we're distracted, resetting the intention to be with noticing breathing in, breathing out. Check in and notice if we're still with observing breathing in or breathing out. And if we are, what's the mood of the mind and the sense in the body? Or if the mind's wandered off, just notice where it went. What's the effect on the mind and body? And then resetting the intention to stay interested, curious in this process of breathing in, breathing out. Maybe paying closer attention, breathing in and noticing the pause before the breathing out starts. What can we notice? Is the breath easy? Is there restriction? Can we just relax and be patient, watching, breathing in, breathing out, and stay interested? Noticing if that allows us to be calm or if it creates tension or sleepiness. Maybe it's so calming that it makes us go to sleep. And can we arouse some curiosity, pay closer attention, maybe counting breaths? What's getting in the way of the mind being interested in this simple process of breathing in, breathing out? Are we still present with the breath, or has the mind wandered off, sleeping, thinking, planning, whatever? Just noticing what the mind's paying attention to, and how that feels in the mind and body. What's the effect? And then re-inviting the mind to pay attention, to reground in a meditation object. In this case, we chose the breath. If the mind's really happy observing the breath, you could stay there. Or if the mind's feeling maybe a little restless, it's too boring, you could try a different meditation object. And especially if the mind's restless, you could try an open awareness. So in open awareness, the meditation object is just the changing nature of experience that the mind notices. So kind of soften and widen your attention rather than just paying attention to the breath. Notice whatever the mind's paying attention to. So maybe it's the breath, and then there's a thought, and then there's a sound, and then a body sensation, another thought, another breath, sensation, a sound, a thought. So this invites the mind to just notice whatever is predominant in the awareness, but not holding on to anything, not getting caught in a story about a sound or an idea, but just watching changing experience. A sound, a sensation, a thought, a breath, a heart. Changing moment to moment, and the mind just patiently observing it, coming and going. Like clouds moving across the sky. Now this, now this. So you could try that technique, and if nothing seems to be happening, there's always the breath. So setting your intention to stay with either the breath itself or this changing experience. Set that intention, and then notice what happens. Is the mind still present with your meditation object, or is it lost in thought or sleep or some other distraction? Just noticing the effect, and then resetting the intention. Can the mind stay interested, just observing the meditation object, moment to moment. Is the mind still present with the object? And if so, what's the effect? Or is it wandered off? Sleeping, thinking, whatever. And what's the effect of that? So there was the breath, there's open awareness of changing phenomena. There's two different meditation objects. Another kind of meditation object is a word or a phrase, and maybe you have something you like to use. If not, I could suggest breathing in, you could say peace, breathing out, ease, if those words work for you. Or breathing in, just, breathing out, this, just this. So what might work for you, if words work for you? This gives the thinking mind a little bit something to do. Peace, ease, just this, or any other words that might work for you. Inviting the words and then the mind observing the effect. Checking in to notice what the mind is paying attention to. Whatever your meditation object, what's the effect? And reset the intention to be with your words or whatever object you've chosen. Moment to moment. With curiosity, patience. How is it now? Noticing what the mind's paying attention to in this moment. Is it still with your meditation object, or has it wandered off? Just noticing what it's observing, noticing the effect. And we do this moment to moment to train the mind to get to know the habits of the mind. What leads to ease, what leads to boredom and sleepiness, what leads to stress. And by this observation process, we get to learn, and the mind naturally will keep learning to understand its habits, what leads to ease and what leads away from ease. Moment to moment. It's like this right now. How is it? This mind, this body. It's like this. So the bell invites us to let go of the active meditation and maybe just noticing with those, reflecting on those 3 different types of meditation, the breath meditation versus the open awareness versus the use of words or a mantra. If there was a different effect or not. And these are the experiments. These are tools that we can invite to see how the mind responds, and even however it responded today may not be the same as how it might respond tonight or tomorrow or the next day. But we can do these invitations just to experiment. So this is our science project, getting to know ourselves better through just observation, cause effect. So I encourage you to play with it a little bit. What objects can the mind be interested in and rest in, and that invites some calm and ease, and just find, this is your way of understanding yourself. So I invite you to do that. Hopefully something we've shared today would be helpful. So that's it for the